Please join me in welcoming Jose-Miguel.
Hello. If you'll join me, go ahead and take a deep breath. Another one. And one more. Okay. So good evening, students, staff, everyone else. I don't know if you can see this very well at the back, but if you can definitely see this here. You might have seen it before. Look at this and tell me what you see. Raise your hand if you think this is an old woman. Okay. Raise your hand if you think this is a young woman. Okay, interesting. So, of course it's both. You'll see that's the mouth of the old woman right there, which is also the necklace of the young woman. This is the nose of the old woman, also the jawbone of the young woman. Okay, you can see that, right? Okay. So, the point I want to make with that is that perspective and not perception is the fabric of reality. In other words, it's not about what you look at, it's not about the lines on the paper, it's about what you see. I'd like us to ask ourselves, what do we see when we look at mental health? Is it the absence of mental illness? Is it the presence of mental wellness? Is the glass half full or half empty? Of course, it's both. The way we talk about mental health has to account for this. It's not black and white. We must remind ourselves of the ambiguity that underlies concepts like illness and wellness. The line between them is far from hard drawn. Raise your hand if you've eaten too much or slept too little. Me too. Keep your hands raised if you have trouble concentrating. If you've yelled at or fought with friends or family. If you've hurt yourself or hurt others. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten drunk because you felt bad and you wanted to feel better. Come on. Raise your hand if you drink more coffee than you think you should. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced pain to such a degree that it feels physical. You know, dried your eyes out, that kind of thing. Or if you've experienced the same thing from laughter. Guess what? These things are pretty common. So, the point I want to make with this is that mental health can be a misleading term for a misleading understanding of mental life. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. That's a poem by Rumi, a 13th century Persian poet. Rumi understood that the labels we use are limited by the very fact that they are labels. a person is more than anything anyone could ever say about who that person is. Who I am is up to me. And by me there, I'm referring to what Viktor Frankl, a concentration camp survivor and psychiatrist, called the last of human freedoms. The ability to choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances. To choose your own way. In other words, it's the ability to change what you see. Now, I don't want to undermine the burden of people who experience depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, to name a few. But I do want to contextualize these and other words we use when we talk about mental health within the larger framework, the spectrum of what it means to be human. To be human is to be thrown around by the weather of everything we can't control, and to wish we could control it, and to try to control it, and sometimes to be successful. But more often than not, it means to bump up against an unpenetrable wall. Impenetrable. Now, as long as there is hope, you are mentally healthy. As long as you have some degree of freedom over your life experience, over what you see, some degree of power, you are mentally healthy. Let the people who talk about illness, disease, disorders, say all they want. That's just our very human inner control freak doing its thing. And there's a place for that. But beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a feeling. I'll meet you there. Thank you.